afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
முதல்ல
Ma'am,
கலைய
it's
புடிச்சாச்சு.
going live. Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, Anukudi, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon பா. Good afternoon கண்ணா.
Ma'am, I made it live in YouTube, ma'am. So, thank you,
சொல்லு
ma'am.
சொல்லு.
Thank you.
Rita Priya joined. சந்திரவதனா, ஹலோ சந்திரவதனா. மிருகா, எல்லாரும் அங்க இருக்காங்களா?
மேம்
எல்லாரும் இருக்காங்களா?
மேம் எல்லாரும் என்டர் ஆயிட்டு இருக்காங்க மேம். ஒவ்வொருத்தரா வந்துட்டு இருக்காங்க மேம்.
இல்ல கண்ணா, இதுல வீட்ல இருந்து வர்றாங்களா?
ஓ இல்ல மேம், வீக்லி 3 days தான் மேம் காலேஜ் போறோம்.
சரி கண்ணா.
நெக்ஸ்ட் மந்த்ல தான் டெல்லி போற மாதிரி இருக்கும்னு நினைக்கிறேன் மேம். இருக்காங்க மேம்.
இல்ல கண்ணா, இதுல வீட்ல இருந்து வர்றாங்க.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Is Dr. Deepa here now?
Welcome, Dr. Malika ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm Karthik Deepa.
Hello, Dr. Deepa. You're right. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. Nice seeing you. I was little having fever. That's why I couldn't invite you in the beginning.
No, that's fine. No problem. I had a little test and I'm ready to start whenever you would want me to start. I don't know how clearly because I've locked myself in a room. My family is around, so they will be very noisy. So I'm in a room. It might not be very clear.
Yeah, it's very clear. It's very clear.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, with permission from my HOD ma'am, we'll start the session.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Mani ma'am?
Shall we start, Deepa?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Shall we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. You start, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. I will. Okay. I think I will.
Hello, ma'am.
I think I.
Ma'am, I will give a small introduction, ma'am. Then you start. Malika ma'am, Dr. Malika ma'am.
Would
Deepa,
you like me
can
to
I start?
start?
Can you start, Deepa?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Warm good afternoon to one and all present here. Invoking the God Almighty, it is my great privilege for me in welcoming all for this one-day international webinar on teaching, learning, and technology. On behalf of the Department of Education, Avanashingam Institute for Home Science and Higher Education for Women, Coimbatore, India, we welcome our Managing Trustee, Thiru TSK Meenakshi Sundaram Anna Avargal, Chancellor, Padma Shri Dr. P.R. Krishna Kumar Ji, Vice Chancellor, Dr. Premavati Vijayan Madam, Registrar, Dr. S. Kausalya Madam, Research Director, Dr. G.P. Jayanti Ma'am, Dean, School of Education, Dr. T. Geeta Madam, our former coordinator, Dr. R. Annakudi Madam, and our former head of the department, Dr. H. Indu Madam, who have all been the greatest support in all our endeavors. The fragrance of flowers spread only in the direction of wind, but the goodness of a person spreads in all directions. Amidst us, we have such a personality who shares our knowledge and expertise in the field of education. It gives me immense pleasure in welcoming our guest speaker, Dr. Mallika Kanyal Madam. Welcome, Madam.
Thank you.
Mallika Kanyal Madam is from Anglia Ruskin University, UK, and she has been in the field of higher education since 2000 and has been in the field of teaching and research for 2 decades in India and in UK. And her subject specialization is on early childhood. Her academic performance experience has been that of a senior lecturer and course leader in early years education and early years professional practice courses. Madam has training experience as a head instructor for integrating child development services training center in Rajasthan, India. Her interest is on participatory research in education, children's rights, children's voice and their participation, children's socio-emotional development, children's peer relations. She also teaches both face-to-face and online groups as well as on modules that run across regional institutions. As part of her role, she is also supporting the undergraduate and postgraduate students in their major projects. Apart from her teaching, the credit goes to her. She's a member in the editorial board for Journal of Management in Education, and she's a member of Early Child Research Group UK, and also member of Youth Voice Research Group UK, and also she's a member of Comparative Education Society of India. Also, She has received research grants for doing many projects. Also, she has bundle of research articles in the reputed journals and also presented papers in many conferences. Welcome you, madam.
Thank you very
I,
much.
I welcome all the deans of various schools, heads of the departments, faculty members, and students of various departments, participants from various parts of India and from other countries to this one-day international webinar on teaching, learning, and technology. Hope this day is a special and memorable day that we will remember in the years ahead. I welcome you once again for this one-day international webinar. Thank you. Now over to Mallika madam.
Thank you very much for such a lovely introduction. Thank you. You've made my day already. So my name is Mallika Kanyal, and I have very close affinity to home science because I myself am a graduate of home science, which I did very long time ago. But after finishing my graduation, I did masters, and then I moved to the UK, specifically in England, the southeast part of England. And then I started a job teaching in a college, and then I did some more qualifications here, did my own doctorate here. So I have been, ever since I moved to the UK, I have been in the field of education, specifically early childhood education. So that's my very brief introduction. And I think you have already given such a detailed narration about my career, which is wonderful to hear because you keep forgetting about these things, what you have done in past, isn't it? So thank you very much for such a lovely, warm welcome. And thank you everyone for giving up your time to attend the webinar. I'm really, really pleased to see that so many people are attending. Just to confess something, because here we tend to use Microsoft Teams or Zoom for webinars. So this is my very first experience for using the Google Meet. So I do apologize in advance if I make any mistakes. I know the session is on technology, but unfortunately, I've never used Google Meet before. We tend to use other platforms. But I'll try my best, and they have given me a quick run how to do it. So hopefully, fingers crossed that it will go smoothly. So I'm going to share my screen with you all, because what I have done, I have prepared some slides. At the same time, I have got some links to show you some practical examples of how we do things here. And I do appreciate that technology is such a complex field. It's not same everywhere. Different things, there are lots of factors which will affect to what extent you can exploit technology for education. So I do appreciate if there are things that I show you may not work within your context, but I thought it's best to share some examples, some ideas of what we do and why we do and how we do it. At the same time, some practical examples of how we have been engaging with students using online platforms. So that is the idea. But like I said, I do appreciate it can take a very different shape and form depending upon the context and depending upon where you are and how good or bad the network is. So if I quickly share my screen with you all.
Sure, ma'am.
Thank you. And can you see the slides? The first one, the yellow one.
Yes, ma'am.
Lovely, thank you. So this is just a brief introduction. So very warm welcome to you all to this webinar. And my name, like you know probably by now, is Mallika Kanyal. I am a senior lecturer and a course leader here. And I am also a faculty lead for Athena Swan. It is a sort of new initiative within the UK universities where we look at diversity, especially gender equality. So I'm the faculty lead for that. And but I have been working in this university since 2004 or 2005, I believe. But before that, I was working elsewhere in the UK. So just a very quick whistle tour of where I am. And I work at Anglia Ruskin University. So I've just included some brief pictures of the place itself. And there's a map of the UK, but our university is in England. And if you look at the red dot there, so we are more so towards the southeast part of England. And I have included our website here. So I will email these slides to Dr. Deepa later on. So she, please feel free to look at these slides later on as well. And we are a university which is spread over different campuses. So for example, like where I work at a place called Chelmsford, which is like 30 minutes train drive ride to London. But we also have some different campuses. So if I just quickly show you where our campuses are and what it looks like. Okay, so here we are. So we are based at Cambridge. Okay, I'm not sure if I've lost the connection for a while. But we are based at Cambridge. We are based at Chelmsford. We are based at Peterborough. And we are based at London. So we work in partnership with some other regional colleges in the southeast area of England. So I'm just going to move on to next slide because I have a feeling I lost the connection for a while I was clicking on the hyperlink there. But the idea is just to share that I am basically where I work is based in the east of England, and we have different campuses across different regions of East Anglia within England. And just quickly, just to again, to reassure you that you are in safe hands, because I do know a lot about learning, teaching and technology. I have been an acting director of learning, teaching and assessment for the Faculty of Health, Education, Medicine and Social Care. We call it HEMS in short here. So I was the acting director of learning, teaching, assessment there. And I'm also, as I said before, a course leader for a face-to-face and a distance learning course. So I have been using technology for quite some time to engage with students. And I'm also an APCL or APEL. It's a sort of, if students want to straight away join in the third year of a course, they can join if they have some previous credits or experiences with them. So I am also the APCL and APEL advisor and the tutor. So there's a lot of technology involved, especially when it comes to looking at people's experiences and mapping it across our courses. So I work on a lot around e-portfolio, electronic portfolio and things like that. So what I'm hoping to do today is just to share some teaching strategies that we use, especially with distance learning students, the online students on online courses. And it is quite important right now because of, like we all know what we are facing is so unprecedented. It is so uncertain with COVID-19. So we don't really know for how long we may be dependent on technology. So it's good to gather as many ideas as we can from each other and try and generate some good practice from there. So the structure of the rest of the webinar is very much going to be, I will start with some suggestions on online learning and teaching. And these suggestions or these ideas I've taken from a university website. We have Anglia Learning and Teaching like a central body who sort of trains the staff in the university. So there's some lovely advices I've taken from there, from Anglia Learning and Teaching at our university. And then I will share some examples of using technology for learning and teaching, some examples that I have been using, and also some examples I know colleagues are preparing, which I thought you may find interesting. And then in the end, I will show some free resources that people can use because a lot of, especially in educational institutions, a lot of resources or the LMS or the systems are mostly license-based. So you have to purchase a license to be able to use it. But there are still, if people who are on this webinar are not quite at the stage of using inbuilt systems, there's quite a lot of free resources that you can use to engage with the students online. So I will share some some examples of free resources as well. And just as a caution, because I will try and use technology with you. There's no point not using technology on a technology-based webinar. So you may need your smartphones, or laptop, or computer. You don't have to do those activities, but I think it would be nice for you to just get a taster of those things. And I appreciate that some of you may already be experts in using technology. And it varies, isn't it? Our confidence level varies. I'm not quite up there yet myself. There's so much I need to learn as well. So please feel free to use those activities or not, or just be a spectator, and feel free to contribute some ideas as well. So that is going to be the structure for the rest of the webinar. So I am going to start first of all just using all everywhere, and I'm not sure if probably people may have used it before. It's a very simple tool just to sort of catch people's attention, or just to start, like an icebreaker. So I thought if I use it with you all, it gives you a taster of this, and it's quite nice to use it with students as well, just like I said, as an icebreaker to sort of gather their interest, to gather their attention. So I have created a poll everywhere. And this is the link for the poll, and you can basically respond. There's a very simple question. When you click on this, on the link, or you respond via this particular link, you will see a screen like this. So you just need to select one particular response. And the question is, how confident are you in using technology for education? Are you very confident? Are you confident enough? You're not so confident, or you're not really sure whether you know enough or not. And I will try and go to the live site of the poll to see. Let me leave the link open there first for you to. So you may have to either type this on your smartphones, or pollev.com Malika Kania 711.
Doctor, sorry for the interruption. You can copy and paste the link in the chat box so that everybody can participate.
Okay, let me try doing that then. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's there. The message box. Just click the message box.
Yes. Okay. I can see. Yeah. That's a good idea. Lovely. Thank you. So you can just go to that e-poll and cast your vote on your confidence level in using technology for education. And so we can clearly see, can you see the results there as well? It keeps on varying. It is a live poll. So you can see the number keeps on changing. It started with 50%. Okay. Okay, so you can see, I hope you can see the result. Is as you can expect, I think there's a small minority who is very confident. There's a small minority which is not confident, and the majority are you on the average range, isn't it? That you do feel somewhat confident in using technology in education. I would probably put myself in the middle range. Yes, I'm confident, but I'm not quite super confident yet, because I do still make mistakes. So the idea was, again, for me to get an understanding of how diverse the audience is for the webinar, as well as, again, just to give you some ideas that just to start a discussion with a group of students, because these days students are much more ahead of us in using technology. They would know all this already. So it's best to try different things with them, just to catch their attention and to see what their interest levels are, or how confident or not confident they feel. Okay, so that was Can you all still see my slides or not? I'm a little bit confused here.
We can share, see your slides, madam.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Okay, so the next few slides are more so around just some basic understanding around teaching, or how accessible your teaching is. Because when we switch to online teaching, when we start using more of technology in education, we tend to forget that this is a different set of audience now. They have access to different sort of resources, and some of them may have some special needs as well. So just some questions for us to think about on how accessible is my teaching really. To what extent the audience can relate to what I'm trying to say. Because when you're face-to-face, you can explain things in detail, what you really want to say. But it is very common to misinterpret or to misread the information that is presented online. So how accessible are you making your information to the group of students? And three very, very basic principles are basically just clarity, how clear you are. So use very simple language, be as clear as you can be in giving your instruction. How organized your work is. What is the order in which you are presenting your ideas, you're presenting your work? Are you starting for something very complex and then moving to something quite simple, but do it the other way around? So just think about the order, how you're organizing the information. Have you built in some chat rooms? Have you built in some discussions in between? Or is it all didactic, that you are just explaining and teaching in a traditional way, and there is no engagement by the students? So think about how you're organizing your resources, and how, of course, how responsive you are then. Because again, there's a very common mistake we all make, is we post our resources and then we believe that we are done. I have done all my hard work, I did all the research, I prepared some slides, and I've posted them for the students. But they may have lots of questions to ask. So how responsive are you, and how clear are you in giving those instructions that I will respond to your queries on Mondays, every Monday, or evenings? So how responsive are you, and how clear are you in your instructions, basically, in the advice that you are giving to them? So these are the very, very basic three guiding principles that we can use to engage via technology in education. And if we are clear on these three guiding principles, it will shape the template for whether we are using Microsoft Word documents, whether we are using PowerPoint presentations, or we are using any kind of LMS, the Learners Management System, some kind of learning and teaching online platform or the site. So these three very basic principles definitely help to bring some clarity in the resources that we post for our students. And there are certain things I would advise. They may feel a little bit childish, but it does help in long run. Because with the COVID-19 situations, we don't quite know for how long we may be using the online platform. And it is if a student joins an online course, the expectations are much more clearer. But all of a sudden, if you are making the face-to-face students switch onto the online course, it's much more trickier for them and for you. Because maybe you have never taught online, and those students have never received education online. So it becomes more tricky for those people who have never studied or taught using online platforms. So it's quite, I would suggest to use some kind of agreement. And I have got a link up here, an example agreement that you can, so basically, in a way, you are signing contract with the students. So before you switch completely to the online learning and teaching, they have to read that guidance, a very short piece of paper, maybe 2 pages or 3 pages long, or maybe even one A4 sheet long. You type your agreement, and they go through that, and they agree with that contract in a way. And that's if I show you an example, I may have to switch screens. So I have included an example to show you of expectations that we are making the expectations clear to the student. This is what is expected out of you to get the most from learning and online learning and teaching. So this is a simple form of agreement, and I will include this in the email I sent to Dr. Deepa. So it's basically, it makes it clear that what we expect from them and what they can in turn expect from us. And the yellow bits are where people can just highlight or make it their own. You can introduce your own module title, your course title, your names, your times when you are available or not available. So what to expect from your module team or tutor or your lecturer, for example. Because this is based on our universities, there are lots of terms you may not be familiar with, but the idea is just to share an example of a simple agreement with the students and what is expected from them as an online learner. So again, something very simple, but something, if you prepare them right from the beginning, the expectations are clear. Otherwise, they will end up complaining a lot that we used to get this much information face to face. Now we are hardly getting any of my lecturer's time. So if you make those expectations clear right from the beginning, you are managing it from an early start, and there's less chances of conflicts between the university and students then. So it's just a simple example of what could be done when we switch to the online learning and teaching practices. And any changes you make, because you may be doing a face-to-face course and you are suddenly switching to an online course, so you are bound to make some changes, but make those changes very clear and simple for the students. Although, like I said, they are quite ahead in using technology than us adults or more mature people, but no one likes to see a lot of bombarding on screen. So keep the changes very simple and very clear for them. And the idea is, as teachers, we want our students to succeed, basically. So the idea is to support them succeed on their course, succeed on their modules. So make it as simple, as clear as you can for them. And also try and, because when we do any sort of face-to-face class, they interact with each other physically. And if you switch to online teaching, their experiences could be very isolating. They may be only talking to their machines in a way, and that is not very interesting. That's something you would want to do, avoid doing yourself. So try and make it more engaging, more interesting for students. Try and develop a sort of community of peers. So peer learning, so they're helping each other learn, they're helping each other or talking to each other, communicating with each other, going on breakout rooms, online breakout rooms with each other. So try and create a community. What happens is, and you would be surprised to see the change with the community of learners is, because we tend to have discussion boards where students can ask us questions and we answer them. But if we create a very close community of learners right from the beginning, if, for example, one student asks a question, different other peers, their friends, they tend to answer that for them. So they start trusting each other and they feel quite confident in answering each other's queries as well. So in a way, your workload gets reduced. And in a way, you are building confidence in them to help each other and to learn from each other. Because most of them will be at similar wavelength in terms of their intellectual stimulation, for example. So it's much more easier for them to connect with each other's ideas than with the tutor and the student ideas. So try and create a more community of learning rather than isolating experiences for students. And of course, by all means, we have to meet the university or the college requirements. So do check what are those minimum expectations, what are those minimum requirements, and maybe get it written up. So share it with your colleagues so everyone is aware these are the minimum requirements set by the university. So you are sort of building upon them. And another important thing, which may seem irrelevant right now, but I think it's quite important, is to keep asking students for their feedback. because I've done a lot of work on student voice, although it can create conflicts, but it's best to create some sort of brave spaces where people can ask some brave questions from each other. Even if the feedback is negative, that I'm not able to understand what the teacher is trying to tell me, it's telling you, it's a reflection on you, because you have suddenly switched to an online tutor from a face-to-face tutor. So it's not going to be as good as face-to-face teaching that you are used to doing. So it's good to get this real feedback from students. They are the real customers in a way. Or the customer is not the language I would want to use for students, but they are the ones. So you are preparing everything for them. If they are not being able to navigate through your resources, then it's time to go back to the drawing board and make some changes. So do keep on asking for some feedback. And just like we did Polar Everywhere, where everyone just casted a vote, you can do a simple poll everywhere where they just have to cast a vote. Did you find it helpful, useful, easy to understand? So just a very quick yes and no sort of poll. And then you get some immediate feedback from them. That if you need to make any further changes, or can you continue with what you are doing. And I will definitely build upon what I know already. There's no point creating new resources entirely from scratch. You will already have a wealth of resources with you. So think about, how can I make these more distance learning friendly? So try and build upon something you already have. Otherwise, you will die under the workload, the new workload you will create for yourself. So do try and be more creative with what you already have, and how can you make it more interactive for the online students. And so again, something that you may find a little bit childish, but again, it does help in long run, and it helps to bring some consistency in your course. If all tutors are using a similar sort of format, similar sort of templates, students find it much more easier to navigate through everything, rather than saying, oh, Professor A does it this way and Professor B does it this way. I have to switch my brain. So it's best to have some sort of consistency in the ways we teach our students, in the ways we use templates, educational templates for our students. Consistency is one of the keys to success. And I have included a very, very simple activity design template here for you. Let me see if I can show it to you. It's a very simple template, nothing complicated. So we have to make our lives as tutors easy as well, but it has to be effective for the students. So this is a simple template. Just give it a title. What is the rationale, the learning outcomes? What are you expecting students to learn from this activity towards the end of it? So you can write your learning outcomes. Just go for maybe 2 or 3, not more than 3. And what actually is the task? Do you first want them to read something, read a chapter from a book, or read a journal article from a book, or read something, a blog or a vblog or anything? Basically, it's something online. So what actually is the task? First, you want them to review something, and then what do you want them to do afterwards? Do you want them to summarize? Do you want to define, discuss with your peers, or write an essay, or prepare something, maybe a poster, a leaflet, anything? So what actually... So based on this task, what do you want them to do? And then, because it's happening online, so are you creating some kind of online discussion board for them where they can reply to you and to each other? It's best that they can reply to each other and they can all read each other's work as well, because they get more ideas from the peers. And then be very clear in your template that, for example, you want them to respond to at least 2 other friends' posts, or at least one other person's post. And then this is the date by which you would want them to complete the activity. And this activity will close by this particular date. So these are very, very clear, simple instructions that you are giving to your students, and include any references that you may want to. For example, there are some nice articles you may have found, some nice websites you may have found, link to some clothing, textiles, for example, factories or manufacturing sites, anything on fashion, anything on children's education. So include those references. So there are always going to be some keen students who would want to study more. So those extra links, do put those kind of extended reading for them. So this is a very, very simple template to use. It's not so much more work for you as a tutor as well, but if we end up using it as a template throughout our course, throughout our department, or if you're doing masters or whatever, at module level, at course level, it just brings some consistency in your teaching style, and the students will appreciate it because they know exactly what to expect and how to navigate through the online platform. And some I feel like I'm talking a lot here, but some very simple suggestions. Some of these are based on my own experiences. Is keep it very, very simple. There's no point complicating things. There's no point using complicated language. Keep it very simple. It should be accessible. The language should be accessible to the students. And rather than posting lots of homework or research tasks for students to do, I would just post 1 or 2 activities each week per module. So make it manageable. It's very easy to lose track of time because we think, oh, this is all very important. Let me put this as a homework. But if they are doing 4 modules at the same time, it is a lot of work for students. They will not do any kind of, they will refrain from any sort of deep engagement. They will just touch the surface, very superficial research or task, and which is not a good sign, basically. So I will just do 1 or 2 main activities each week. And I will try and use both synchronous and asynchronous activities. So synchronous activities, especially if you are working using online platform with your face-to-face students, so you will have the same students at the same time. So if your session time is 10 to 11, that's synchronous. Everyone is participating at the same time. Like what we are doing right now is a synchronous webinar. So do include some synchronous activities where they can talk to each other, go to online breakout rooms to do some small group work, or use some polls, use some quizzes, things like that, as well as use some asynchronous. Asynchronous, especially for those courses where you are working with, say, for example, international group of students who are working on different time zones. So you will post some activities. Say, for example, I would post a case study, a very short case study, and some questions based on that. So whenever people are working on the different time zones, so whenever they have the time, they will review the task asynchronously because it's different time zone, and then respond. And then I will put very clear instructions that this task will finish on this particular day by this particular time, and this is when I will summarize the discussion and I will post my ideas for the group. So use both synchronous activities as well as asynchronous activities. Use resource-based strategies. So don't make it all exam-based, although I know exams are quite popular in India, but try and use more resource-based strategies. Like I said, some case studies examples, some blogs, online blogs, some other online resources that you can find. So use some resource, so they actually have to go through it, read it, and then answer some questions. And be very, very clear, like I said, be very clear about expectations, that what actually you want them to do. Because often it is clear in our own heads, but we fail to put it in a way, in a clear, concise way to the students. And that's where the struggle, that I don't quite know what she's asking me to do. So make it very, very clear to them. And try to be as inclusive as you can be. Because you may have people who maybe have some kind of hearing impairment. So have you typed any video that you're posting? So to whatever extent you can be inclusive, try and go for it, because it's only going to help your students. Some people who are dyslexic, they don't like reading in the contrast screens. They would prefer a more subtle color background screen. So just simple things like that can make a big difference in students' experiences online. So try and I would encourage everyone to be more inclusive in their online teaching. And I think I've got a couple more slides where I will talk, and then I promise I will start showing some examples, because this can get very boring otherwise. And just some very, very simple examples, things that you can do to make it more interactive for students, rather than just, posting slides or making some very didactic resources. Just narrative screencast are very simple examples. So for example, if you are trying to share a screen, just put your own voice with it. So explaining whatever you are seeing in the screen. You can use YouTube for a screencast. You can use Microsoft Teams if you have for a screencast. So it's a very simple thing to do, but it is quite effective. Students would like to hear their tutor, their lecturer's voice. So make short screencasts. Avoid making long ones. You wouldn't want to hear a person constantly for 1 hour. So make short and frequent ones. Maybe give them a title, make it clear what it is about. So try and experiment with some screencast. Use some interactive webinars. You can use Zoom, free version of Zoom. If you have license for Microsoft Teams, you can use Big Blue Button. Some of them will require license, but there are quite a few free, like Google maybe. So use interactive webinars. Use online discussion boards. So you pose a question and then everyone answers, and they can sort of develop a discussion thread based on that. Use your tutorials, virtual office hours in small groups, that I'm available from 5 to 6. If you need any tutorial support via Zoom, for example, come and see me there. So just be available, make yourself, not everyone would come, but you are trying to be as helpful as you can be. And also something quite important in online learning and teaching, because like I said, it can be such an isolating experience for students. It's best to use some ways of finding out how well students are engaging. So you can use some analytics tools there. In our university, we use Canvas as a learners management system, as an LMS, but I'm sure there are lots of different LMSs that you can use. There are lots of analytics that you can use. So for example, if I'm using Canvas analytics, it shows me that this person has spent, this student has spent 5 hours on this module. And at the same time, it also shows me, oh, this student has only spent 10 minutes. So I know there's a problem there. So either there's a network problem or something else is going on in this student's life I need to find out more about. So use some sort of analytics just to give you, they're never very reliable. So I wouldn't 100% rely on them, but it's still good to get some indication that to what extent my students are engaging online with the course or not. Okay, now just a quick break from me talking. I think I've done talking for quite a long time. Again, like some of you, I remember you saying some of you are very confident in using technology, and some of you are like me who are on the mid-range, and some are like, yes, you are not very confident in using technology. Again, to share an example of using Padlet, because we tend to use post-it notes quite a lot in our classrooms, face-to-face teaching, just those small, colorful, tiny post-it notes, that you can stick on a poster or on a flip chart or somewhere. So you can use similar idea through Padlet, and there is a free version and there's a paid version. In free version, I think you can create about 3 to 5 free Padlets, but I use the free version, and I tend to delete my old Padlets and then recycle them and use them again with a new group of students. So you can forever be on the free version of Padlet and use it. So just to share an example, I'm sure people are familiar. Most of you may be familiar with this already. But again, just to show an example how it looks like. So you can go to this particular Padlet, and I will try and do the same thing I did previously. I will try and copy and paste the link for the Padlet in the chat. And when you go to the actual Padlet, it will look something like this. The color may be lost because I think I'm going through an upgrade in my system. But basically you will be, so here's the link for the Padlet. And the simple question is, what interactive technology based methods have you used to engage with students? I know there's quite a lot of you, so there will be a lot of little post-it notes on the Padlet there, but feel free, not everyone has to participate. If you want to say something, feel free to say. Just share some examples of technology that you have been using, especially to engage with the students. You will find a plus sign towards the bottom right. So if you first click on the plus sign on the bottom right and then start writing your ideas, it should work. I don't know if you can actually access the Padlet because I can't see any responses there. You come out of poll everywhere.
Doctor, there is no provision for typing on that.
Okay. Okay.
Actually,
I think,
we could see the Padlet, but
yeah, you can't really
in
do
our
it.
part, it's not anything active to work in from our part, audience part.
I see, because there's usually a small red plus sign that comes towards the bottom right. Maybe it's not coming up because my system is going through an upgrade today, and this is linked with the university. So maybe that's one of the reasons. So that's all right. It's just to give an idea that you can still, while doing the lecture online, you can still get your students' ideas, get them to engage, so it doesn't become very monotonous that only one person is speaking. So feel free to have a play with Padlet. And like as I was looking at Poll Everywhere, quite a lot of you are actually very confident in using technology. So you may be already aware of this Padlet. And you can, instead of Padlet, you can just use Poll Everywhere or Mentimeter, things like that, to engage, instantly engage with the students. Using it's just that they won't go to sleep. Basically, it won't become very boring for them, and it encourages them to do different things in the online learning teaching environment. Okay, so this was what it was supposed to look like to you, and this plus sign is where, so if you use it, the plus sign is where they click, and then they,
that button is actually missing. Even in desktop view, it is missing.
oh, I see. I have no idea. I think because I've lost quite a few things. Upgrading the systems in the university, and my turn started last night. So today, all day, my systems are being refreshed.
We will try when we are free. We'll make note of the website and we'll try it. Padlet.
Lovely, thank you. And just a very quick. I know we are not talking about assessment here, but I just thought I've got a very simple, basic, only one slide on assessment, because at some point, if the learning and teaching is going to happen online, at some point we may be asked to do all assessments online. Like this time, quite a lot of assessment had to be done online, or we had to take an average of the previous learning and teaching courses, isn't it? So just again, something to bear in mind and something to ask ourselves, that how ready are we? How prepared are we to move our assessment online? And just some quick questions. Do we think that the assessment task is already online, or it is face-to-face and I only need to make some very small few changes to make it more appropriate for learning? Or do I have to completely rethink about the assessment? I have to have a complete change of my plan, and that is where it gets tricky. So you may need some help from your IT support team. And always think about resits too, because not everyone is going to pass it in first attempt. So people who fail it in first attempt, have you thought about how you're going to assess students' learning through resits? So have you thought about that as well? And internet access can be a big issue. Some students may live in remote areas, some more urban, so the network issue will be relatively easy or good for them, the connection. So think about all those ideas as well, that in what ways am I using this online assessment? Do I only want them to do some online research and submit something face-to-face or a hard copy? Or am I using some sort of online tools, like you can ask them to build some electronic portfolios where they can insert some media-rich resources like videos or forms, all sorts of audio files, podcasts, blogs, etc. So are you going to use some sort of online tools for the assignment? Or is it just something that they will type on a Word document, save it as a PDF, and then upload the assignment? So just be very clear in what ways are you going to use the online assessment for students, and your work, the level of work that would be needed to change it to online will be dependent upon that. So that's what I wanted to talk about in terms of some suggestions, some ideas that we have been using in university. And I would now quickly move on to some, are you okay for me to carry on? You want a short break? Are you all right?
Continue, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Just some examples from learning and teaching in our university, what we use. most institutions would use a form of LMS, which is the learning management system. It is a kind of software that is designed for some kind of online training or educational activity. So you would have access to some online system where you will upload your resources, and in a way you're trying to make it accessible for the remote learner. So this is where we are heading towards with COVID-19, especially in the UK. We are being prepared for both face-to-face and online. So we have to use LMS even more creatively than what we have been using in past. And in our university at Anglia Learning, Anglia Ruskin University, we use an LMS called Canvas. A Canvas. It's just called Canvas. I've got dashboard because that's linked to my dashboard. Although the Canvas LMS that we use in our university, it is a paid version. So we have bought license for that. So there's cost involved in it. But I know that there is also a free version of Canvas that teachers can use. So do feel free. It's really good LMS, I would say. There's a lot of things that you can do in a more interactive way in Canvas. So even if you haven't got the license at institution level, try its free version. Maybe try it with one module, whether it works. How do students find it? And how do you find it? Do you feel confident enough to use it with students? It's quite an intuitive platform. So you will be able to navigate through different things in Canvas. So I will show you some quick examples of how we have been using Canvas in our university. So I will try and share some online resources. This might take a little while. But like I said, the one we use is a paid one, so you can do a lot more. But even the free version is quite comprehensive. So do have a look at the free version of Canvas. Okay, let me go to Canvas through this. Okay, so this is our university website. I hope you can see it. And then if I quickly go onto Canvas, okay, so this is what the dashboard looks like. So you can see lots of tiles on it. So these are the different modules that either I teach or my colleagues teach, and I am involved either in marking or teaching or just sharing some resources. So this is what the tiles would look like to students. So if they are doing 2 modules, they will only see 2 modules. But because I'm a tutor here and I'm also doing a lot of work in Canvas, I have access to a lot of things that students won't have. So it will look fairly simple to them. It may look complicated to you because you are seeing my account of Canvas. And let me quickly, because I know a colleague of mine has been, because we start teaching from September, I haven't renewed my Canvas yet, but a colleague of mine has been working on her Canvas side. So if I quickly show you some resources of what she has been hoping to do in the coming trimester or semester starting September. So this is a module of one of my colleagues, Kay Aaron-Ricks. And so this is what it looks like when a student logs in. Although I can, because I'm using my login details, so I can see a lot more details, but more or less sort of similar view for the student as well. So you can include your module introduction, what the module is all about, the schedule, the timetable, different other things that you want to add here. So you can just add those pages. And what I really want to show you is that on a weekly basis, you can add resources like week 1. This is what is expected of the students to engage with in week 1. And because she has just started working on this Canvas site, so it's not complete yet, but we tend to have 12 weeks input already prepared for the students. And you can publish it in blocks. For example, you can only make first 3 weeks visible to the students, only the first week, and then the second week. So you will have the control to what extent you want students to view all the content. You can make all 12 weeks visible to them in day 1, or basically it's your choice. So for example, the week 1 they join this module, they will start with the first thing, because we are switching to Microsoft Teams, so we are encouraging our students to use Microsoft Teams meeting, just even to talk to us or to talk to each other. So some instructions are how to join Microsoft Teams meeting, and some joining instructions for them, some housekeeping notes for them. So some very simple instructions how to, if they have never done a Microsoft Teams meeting before, how to do it, and then go to next button, which shows them what to do next. So because this will be their very first session when they come back in September. So basically, what are the learning outcomes of the session? What is it we're expecting them to do on 24 September between 10 and 11 a.m.? And some quick ideas like Padlet, what does inclusion diversity mean to them? So for them to, it's the same Padlet, similar thing that I was trying to share with you. They can put their ideas and it's saved automatically. So you will be able to see what they are saying in their responses. So some like an icebreaker, just, warm them up for your module. So do some very basic introductory activity with them using Padlet or Poll Everywhere. And then some resources for them to read on democracy, different rules and policies and laws we have around diversity in this country, and then about early childhood morals and ethics. So lots of resources, lots of reading for them to do, and then they click on to next. They can navigate through next or previous, or they can navigate through the navigation bar actually. And then just to make it more interactive for them, this is a discussion board. So once they have gone through the module learning outcomes, they have understood the objectives of the session, they have interacted with the Padlet, they have read through the resources. So at this stage, they will be in a state where they can actually start answering some basic questions, because this is session 1. So a very, very basic discussion question like, what core values shall we agree to uphold as a module class? For example, so agreeing some ground rules, how we will study this module. And she has posted some examples already. So this is like an online discussion board. So they can all reply here, and they can also respond to each of the posts. And in the end, if I'm the tutor, in the end, I will put some instruction that this activity will last till this particular date, and this is when it will finish. And then I would summarize everyone's discussion, and I will post 1 paragraph or 2 paragraphs long summary of the discussion. So in a way, they have gone through the whole loop of engaging with the topic, understanding the learning outcomes, understanding the module, engaging using Poll Everywhere or Padlet or Mentimeter, and reading through the resources, and then engaging with some kind of discussion board. And then, because if you remember, there was a Microsoft Teams meeting, so there's a meetings available. So we are making ourselves, sorry, it may look complicated, but it's not, believe me, it's not complicated. And then we have already published the time when we will be available for the meeting. So 10 to 11 a.m. is when either they can meet as a peer group and talk to each other, or we can make ourselves available. So if they have any questions about that particular session, anything they haven't understood, anything they want to ask more about, so we will be making ourselves available. And the instructions are there for them to how to join the Microsoft Teams meeting. Because we have never done Teams meeting with them before. We've used to use the Zoom or Big Blue Button. So we have to be clear about the instructions for them. So after posting all the resources, engaging them in the discussion board, you are making yourself available, or just some time for them to talk to each other, to bounce some ideas about the session. So that would complete the loop for the whole session. And then information and assessment is really, really important, and we tend to post it quite early on. For example, a typical teaching trimester is for 12 weeks. So by week 2, we definitely give out all the information they need for assignments. It may feel a little bit early, but students get very nervous if they don't know what is going to be expected of them and how are they going to be assessed. Is it a portfolio? Is it an exam? Is it presentation? Is it group work? What? So we put all the assessment related information by week 2 for the students, so they can read it. And then the second session of the trimester will be based mainly on assessment. So we talk about the assignment, and then we revisit it in week 7 and week 8. Because by week 2, there's quite a few concepts they will not understand about the module. So we always revisit it later on. So, and that's when they can ask more questions about the assignment. So this is one module I thought I would share with you, because this is, she has made a start for September. And you can see the bits which are not green is she has uploaded resources, but she hasn't published them for students yet. So you are in full control what you want students to see or not to see, because there may be some resources you have put up there, but they're not quite final. So you need to update them or to make some changes. So you can still, it can be like a work in progress for you. So you can keep uploading your resources, but then publish it only when you're happy with the quality of these resources. So don't publish those resources you think are incomplete. And again, just to give you some more examples of how flexible you can use Canvas. And like I said, I'm not telling you this because it's a paid version. There is a free version available for Canvas, which for Canvas for teachers. And something I did last time with my students, with my online group, this is the major project module, like the dissertation, like the pinnacle stage of the degree where they all write the dissertations. So if I just show you, means you can post announcements. So if there is anything, you want to tell everyone, post some announcements, post some discussion boards for them. And for modules, if I show you just a quick example of which one was like academic writing. So I did a session on academic writing for the online student. This is a distance learning group. I just wanted to show you some, because I posted some very quick videos on like what does the structure of their major project or the dissertation will look like if they're doing secondary research, or what will the structure look like if they are doing primary research based their dissertation or the major project. So you can upload short videos, you can upload short audios, you can upload narrated PowerPoints, because PowerPoints can be fairly boring. So if you insert your own voice into it, you can do that, make it more interactive, make it more interesting for them. But be careful about the file size. So when I'm saying upload your own videos using MyPlay or any tool you have, I just make a video on the iPad and I upload it on Canvas. It's as simple as that. If I can do it, anyone can do it. But make those videos short, because no one wants to listen to long, extended videos. So I would rather have multiple videos of short duration, be very clear what it is about, and use multiple and use videos just to break the monotony in online teaching. And again, just to show an example of that, not everything is perfect what we do, because we have just started. If you remember, I said to you earlier, try to be as inclusive as you can be. And within Europe, there's now a new law. So we have to, as an educational provider, we have to follow that law. Otherwise, it becomes illegal. We have to make it inclusive for all students. So we have to imagine there could be a dyslexic student. There could be a student who is hearing impaired. There could be a student who is visually impaired. So you have to be as inclusive as you can be. There could be a student for whom English is not the first language. So you have to make it very simple for them. So again, just to show an example of that, not everything I posted at that time, which was last year, was as good. So we have now used, because it's a law now, this is sort of Mentimeter, you can see. Can you see those little red, orange things and the green things? Orange means that the accessibility score is not so good. It's not, this resource is not as inclusive as it can be. And the green sign shows that, yes, I have followed all the principles of accessibility. So the document that, or the resource I have uploaded for my students is easily accessible. So it's quite inclusive. So that's, I think you don't have to go down that route, but because it's a law for us, so we have to do it. So wherever I see any red or amber is still not bad, but red is pretty bad. So I will definitely have to make changes in this resource to make it accessible, to make it more inclusive for my students. So you can do a quick check. You can develop as a department, as a course, some quick accessibility principles, inclusivity principles for online learning and teaching, and check your resources against. It could be like a simple checklist for you, and just do a checklist every time you post a resource that how inclusive my resource has been for them. And another thing I wanted to show you is, because there's a free version of Canvas, we do upload videos, but not everyone feels comfortable uploading the videos for learning and teaching for students. So what you could instead do is, there is a feature called Conference. It's like a web conference, basically a video conference. So you can see these are all the web conferences I had with my it's me and a colleague of mine. We split this module into two small groups. So you can see we had so many video conferences with our students, but because this is an online group, so it is very asynchronous. They are working on different time zones. So we would tend to stagger the time zones. For example, in week 2, I would say I will see you from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, but in week 5, I may see them from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So different students can attend at different times. And because it's an international group, it is impossible for everyone to attend at the same time. So keep it asynchronous. And the Canvas, the default web conference that Canvas uses is called the Big Blue Button. And Big Blue Button, by default, you can save the video conference, and it is saved by default only for 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, it automatically gets deleted, which is good in a way, I think, because it forces the students people who are not able to attend the conference, it forces them to review all the information in the web conference within the 2 weeks period. So otherwise they miss it. And it is non-downloadable. So if you are conscious that you don't want your video to be downloaded by students on their mobile phones or their own laptops, then Big Blue Button is a good option, because you can't download the seminar or the web conference. It stays in the Big Blue Button in Canvas for 2 weeks, and after that it just automatically gets deleted. So that's another feature. I can't, because these mine are all more than 2 weeks old, so these are all deleted now, but you can see I cannot delete it forever. But it's a nice, gentle way of engaging with students. So use discussion board to engage with them, use web conferences to engage with them, announcements, any quick announcements, any changes, and they can sign up for an alert for the announcement and everyone. And then it highlights you. This is like 0F11. That means I have read every single message posted under this. I will show you an example here. So I posted an announcement a couple of weeks ago because everything had to be switched online for degree calculations. It was taking longer than expected. So students were getting confused. So I sort of posted an announcement, and you can see students it's your choice. You can either say you would allow reply from students, or you don't allow. You can just leave it as announcement by you and no one is able to reply to that, or you can allow replying. So I did allow replying, and you can see lots of students ask me questions, and either they were answering each of the questions. Like I said, if you build a community of learners, they do the job for you, and which is lovely, because it's lovely to see them answering each of the questions, and then you can see me chipping in as well, and then I have been answering the questions at the same time. So use announcements, use discussion boards, use videos, use web conferences, use quizzes. You can use, I don't have any quiz in this module, but you can use quizzes, multiple choice questions. If that is a format you are going to use for assignment, use multiple choice quiz styles in Canvas. So you are giving them a good practice of what to expect in the final assignment. Okay, so these were some examples from Canvas. I know, I appreciate it's a whistleblow tour. It's very quick, but this Canvas, like I said, it is free for teachers, so you should be able to use it to some extent. Not all features will be usable, but I know quite a lot of the features are usable within free Canvas site. And I've just summarized some more tools, and like I think most of you probably are familiar with this or have been using it, and maybe are using more. You can tell me more about the things that you have been using. Like I said, use webinars, use Zoom, Teams, Big Blue Button, or Google, like you use Google. Use webinars with your students. Use breakout rooms for small group work. So if you have a group of 30 students, you can put them into 6 small groups. Use breakout rooms. They can, even if it is Zoom free version, you can use for 30 minutes, 20, 15 minutes, they work out in their small groups, and then bring them back into the main group. So you can use the breakout room concept for the online interaction. Make screencasts, you are basically videoing your own screen and putting your own voice on it. Use polls. You can use Poll Everywhere. You can use Mentimeter for using online polls. Use Padlets. Like Canvas, I just showed you an example of Canvas. This is a link for the free site. Use quizzes within Canvas. Use lecture capture or room capture. Narrate your own PowerPoint, speak, but do check the file size. If the file size is too huge, sometimes it's tricky to upload it for students. use streaming, video streaming, audio streaming, streams specialist is My Player and Streams are two software that I know there's a lot more, but I've used these two. So if you make a video of yourself to make it accessible to everyone, like I said, the principles of inclusivity, you can use a closed captioning option. My Player is not that good in closed captioning, but audio, the stream software is quite good. So you can use streams so if you are making your own audio, it will automatically create caption for you. So it will basically type everything automatically that you are saying. And streams is good because it does pick up on different accents. So even though you are speaking in different accents, it is quite good at picking up different accents. And this one, I wasn't sure whether or not to include for you, but I thought I would just leave it. It's a box of broadcasts. It's like TV shows, TV programs, documentaries, radio programs. We can use it for free in the UK, but I think within India or other parts of the world, you may need a license. But there's very good documentaries and radio programs and debates on radios, on television that you can then share with your students. So this, I've added this with the sort of question mark whether or not to share with you, but it is still worth exploring the box of broadcast. It's a very useful tool. There's a nice interviews like with Nobel Prize winners, like I do a Modern Children's Prize. I share the interview someone did with Malaya Yusuf, so there are lots of things you can share through the box of broadcast with your students. And you can say this is a 30 minutes long video. You can start watching from 15 minutes or 10, or watch it in breaks, dip in and dip out. So you can put some instructions around that as well. And I have included some more open. The OER is definitely picking up its pace. These are the open education resources. Most of them are free. So I have included some examples like from the UCL, University College London, Open University, some projects, the education, Google, YouTube, especially Moodle. Moodle is free. You can do lots of things like I said in Canvas. Instead of Canvas, you can try using Moodle, which is for free. Khan Academy is more mainly US, but there's still, I was looking at Khan Academy. There's quite a lot of free resources that you can use from Khan Academy as well. And of course, TED Talks is also a good source to use just to initiate a debate, to share something that's quite topical happening around the world, in picking up any industry, like I said, education, textiles, anything you want to share, or resource management, anything you can pick up some TED Talks. So these are most of these are free resources. You can probably, like I said, probably you're already aware of these and many more. And then I think my last slide is just some just to summarize some top tips that you can use to move your teaching and assessment and learning online. The first principle is don't think that whatever you were doing face-to-face, you can exactly replicate it. It's not going to happen. So don't try to replicate your face-to-face into online. You will definitely have to make some changes. And then first decide what actually is a learning outcome. What would you want your students to learn from it? And then make those changes. Then, use the right tools, the appropriate tools you want to use to deliver that particular session. And try and use both synchronous and asynchronous. It helps to build a group feeling. It helps to build a community of learners. So try and use both forms of resources, say synchronous and synchronous. Make them accessible, make your resources accessible. Like I said, if you can, use Stream or any software that you can. So if you're posting a video, the narration is there already. You are using the right kind of colors for your slides. It's not very sharp. It's not very high contrast. So people who are dyslexic can easily follow all the slides. Communicate regularly and openly. Mistakes we make as tutors, admit to that. Yes, that was a mistake. Sorry, maybe if we can do it this particular way. So that regular communication is very important. Even if you're posting a discussion question for students, make sure you summarize it, you respond to students' questions. Otherwise, they very quickly pick on the vibe, oh, I'm just writing something and no one is taking any notice. My teacher is not even reading what I'm posting. So they stop engaging. So make sure you communicate regularly. You can use announcements, discussion boards, or webinars to do that. Provide regular feedback. It is very easy. If you are doing an online course as a student, it's very easy to lose motivation. It is very, very easy to go completely off the tangent and do it in a completely wrong way. So it's best to provide some small feedback. I'm not saying just read everything that they're working on. Just short spurts of feedback that send me your 200 words or 300 words or 500 words. And you can create those sites for formative feedback within Canvas or any LMS that you are using. So they can post their work in progress for you or for peer assessment. I use a lot of peer assessment. So each one has to assess each other's work and give some constructive feedback. So do provide regular feedback in either way, whether it is tutor feedback or your peer feedback or a combination of both. And do adapt exams. Whatever systems you are using, you probably will have to make those changes. If you're still sticking with the exams, you're making it multiple choice, you'll have to use the right systems and test it thoroughly before you make it live for students. And allow extra time. So if I know, if I teach something face-to-face for 3 hours, I give myself 5 hours to make it online friendly. So this definitely takes more time. So do have a word with your manager, your line manager, your head, whoever, that switching online would definitely take more time. And do keep on checking your students' well-being. It is very easy for them to get depressed, to get demotivated, to lose interest in the course because they have never done online course before. So do keep on checking their well-being. Are they depressed? Do they need any help? And signpost them to any of the university services who may be counselors, anyone who may be able to help. And the last one is just there because I took my university resource here. Is basically this is a link for my universities. The lots of resources you will find within your own institutions which you may have not found before. So do have a go, do have a look, do navigate through the resources within your own institutions as well. And if there are any tips that you would like to share, please feel free to speak. I think Dr. Deepak had managed that. And my last bit is, if you have any questions, we have some time for questions, answer, any discussion, any reflection, things that may have worked with you or not worked with you, and things you know definitely can or cannot work in India or may work in different contexts if you make some changes. So it is open for discussion now. So any questions or answers, please feel free to ask.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mallika ma'am. Actually, it was a wonderful presentation. Maybe we are not having the paid version of such platforms what you have shown to us, but we'll try to use the free version.
Yes.
And I think and the lot of free resources you have shown, we will try that.
Lovely. But Canvas, because I teach on an MSc course, and on that we sort of teach students how to use online learning and teaching tools. On that course, I ask my students to use the free Canvas version. So they prepare wonderful resources using free Canvas. So I know for sure that there's lots of wonderful things you can do in the free Canvas.
Thank you, Dr. Mallika. Now, the forum is open to the audience. If you are having any doubt or questions, you can ask.
No, it's fine. I just thought I would share. I know probably I've been talking too much. It's best people get some time to talk, and it can become very boring quickly, isn't it? So please feel free to open it to your audiences if they have any questions, or if they want to, they can use a chat feature, however you want to progress with the rest of the webinar.
Yes.
I have made a note of the email address for the PowerPoint. So if I share it, I'll share it. I will share with Dr. Deepa, and then she can then share it with others as well.
Yeah, I'll share with the audience.
Thank you.
Any questions, audience?
Yeah, you can either type them or however you want to go for it.
So far, we didn't receive any questions, Dr. Mallika.
Okay, lovely. Maybe it was clear.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes, ma'am. It was really clear. It was really clear that we don't have any questions, ma'am. We need to go and work and see if we start working, probably we may have to have your support. We may contact you later.
That's absolutely fine. I'll be happy to come back and help in any ways I can.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mallika. This is Dr. Premala from the Department of Food Service Management and Dietetics. Am I audible to you?
Yes, I can hear you very clearly.
Yeah, I just have one question. Now, said and done with the theory part of it, what do you think is the actual challenge of a teacher in engaging students for practicals, particularly for practicals with pure science? And do we have any ICT which can promote an online practical mode like that? Because now that pandemic is everywhere, we find it very difficult to engage students for practicals, particularly as you said. I was listening to you right from the beginning of your presentation, right? I'm a home scientist, and I hope now, though you have virtual labs and all to carry out experiments relating to chemistry and physics and things like that, but when it comes to nutrition, I know for food service management or for preparing a diet like that, how do you expect us to go about and engage student in a practical session? Thank you so much.
Yeah, it is that's a very good question. It is very tricky, and I think we are still learning. I am going to use for the first time something called My Showcase, and I will write it here, but I have a feeling it may be a license thing, so there may be costs involved with it. And My Showcase means I have just had my training, so I've never used it before, so I'm new to it, but I loved it when the trainer showed it to me. It's an e-portfolio, it's an electronic portfolio. So you can set the task, for example, for nutrition, for example, research something first read about something and summarize it. So they can upload a Word document, PDF as a summary, just to show to you what they have read and understood from that. And then they can find a recipe or create a recipe or cook something, and they can make a short video of that and upload the video. And you can upload your own template. So for example, you are creating a template for them to use frequently, like do 5 activities using this template, and you just post the template, and every time they do the task, they fill in the template and upload it for you. So there are things, but like I said, My Showcase, because it's quite comprehensive, so I have a feeling it will be a paid resource, but there could be some parallel free resources available parallel to My Showcase. So you can create I would go for electronic portfolio for something like that. So they can create their own videos, even their own blogs, where they are reflecting, this went well, this didn't go so well. I will give myself 8 out of 10, self-reflection, what I've learned from this is this. So, but they will have to be honest. There is always an element in online learning and teaching. You just don't quite know who is doing it. But like I haven't used it yet, but I'm definitely going to use it for one of my modules, because that involves children's observations, because I'm in education. It involves going to primary schools and nurseries and preschools, observing children, working with the teachers, and doing some sessions, making their own reflection note. So I'm going to use my Showcase as an electronic portfolio for that. And that you can do lots and lots of different things in online electronic portfolios.
Thank you, Dr. Mallika. I do have one more question, and this is with the interest of the researchers. Now that the pandemic is everywhere, and what is the suggestion that you will give to the researchers while collecting their data? Because half of the research is pending, particularly the clinical research as well as a quantitative research. Suppose even a qualitative research also is pending. What is your if you have any tools, particularly apart from the Google Forms or for the collection, but how do you actually have a track of your research proceedings with relating to clinical research? If you can suggest something relating to clinical research, I will be happy.
I know there is an event which I might go to. So I haven't gone to that one yet. They are going to repeat it. And it is for exactly what you are asking. So I haven't been to that webinar yet in my university. It is exactly like how to carry on with your research in pandemic. So I don't have an exact answer to your question, but I think clinical researches are tricky because you're avoiding people to come to the clinics, to the laboratories, isn't it? So I don't think I have an accurate answer for you on that one. But in most cases, people are turning on to using social media or some online platforms to collect their data. And also there are talks because I also supervise PhD or professional doctorate students. We are trying to encourage students to still finish on time. So they may have to make some slight changes. We are being more accommodating. So we are not being like stubborn, no, you have to stick to original plan. So we may have to be more flexible with to make it more realistic for them to be able to collect their data and use some more online tools. So I know the ones I've been working with, they have completely switched to online surveys and things like that. But I haven't got a perfect answer for you, I'm afraid.
Thank you, Dr. Mallika. Your PPTs were excellent. And in fact, it was inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I really loved the session. Thank you so much for the opportunity and the time.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Mani ma'am, shall we wind up the session, ma'am?
Yes, please. Yeah, if everyone is happy and you are happy with it.
Yeah, we are very happy. And I think they just want to use the like web links you have given. So maybe after that they will get some doubts.
That's fine. That's fine. And I will. It might take me a day or two because, like I said, my system is upgrading. I couldn't access my emails today at all. So it might take me 1 or 2 days while the system just settles down to email my slides to Dr. Deepa then.
It's okay. It's okay. Dean ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Please. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We can.
Ma'am, Geeta ma'am? Ma'am, Geeta ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, Geeta ma'am?
Just we want to give a formal vote of thanks, Dr. Mallika. That's it. A formal thanks. After that, we can wind up. Audible now?
Thank you.
Geeta
Yes,
ma'am?
ma'am,
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, make it
Okay.
louder, ma'am.
Good evening to all. I think it was a wonderful session. Dr. Mallika Kanyal, who's a senior lecturer and course leader at Ruskin University. I'm very grateful to you, Dr. Mallika, for sharing your expertise in this session and the way you had carried us through in terms of technology and the teaching learning is so much in vivid, clear, and detailed. I think it is an eye-opener for us in many aspects, especially in terms of using technology in the present context. You started off how well we can exploit the available technology and giving us the various resources that are available, and also moved on to teaching learning. And the way you started is very interesting by getting the feedback from our participants as to how confident they are in using technology. I think I also lie somewhere in between in terms of being confident, midway in being confident in using technology. And as you have highlighted numerous resources, I think we still need to, get into them. And then you had really beautifully presented the module which was available to enable us to get an insight into the teaching learning that is happening in the university, and also gave us detailed descriptions on how the module is prepared, how the Padlet is used, and how the Canvas can be best utilized to reach out to the students. And also how you plan for the 12 weeks of the session. It's not only just planning midway evaluations and the assessments which are carried out in different platforms in different manner is very, very clear. And I think we really need to have many more interactive sessions with you so that we will be able to be little more updated and little more accessible to our students. And it is wonderful listening to you. Though I could not access your PPT, I should go through that and then be updated on this. and I'm really very, very thankful. And it was such a clear presentation. We didn't feel the distance from where you have been speaking. To that extent, the clarity of thought, expression, and the communication was there, so that we really made the best use of this presentation. Thank you very much, Dr. Mallika, for sparing your valuable time.
Thank you. That's lovely.
I
Lovely
think
to
I
hear
place
that.
on record our thanks to our Vice Chancellor, Madam Dr. Premavati Vijayan, for supporting us, Dr. S. Kausalya, our Registrar Ma'am, for guiding us, Dr. G.P. Jayanti, our Director, Research and Consultancy, for all the support she has extended. And my sincere gratitude is expressed to Mrs. Manimori, Head Department of Education, and Dr. Kartika Deepa, who really worked in bringing out this webinar, reaching out to our students and also the members from members for their cooperation. Thank you once again, Dr. Mallika. We'll be in touch so that we can be really reaching out to the students. Thank you.
Thank you for such lovely words, and thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to share some resources. And thanks a lot to your leadership team as well. And thank you, Dr. Deepa.
Thank you, Dr. Mallika. We'll send for accepting the invitation. We may really missed you if we didn't contact you. We really missed so many things, and we really feel that we have to update ourselves because you were sharing so many things. And sure, we will suggest all these things to our management, and we'll get updated. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mallika, madam. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thanks for coming.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Mallika, you can leave. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so
I will.
much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. See you then. Bye.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Programs that you are offering, and it was wonderful to know that you are a graduate, postgraduate in home science. And I think that gives us a little more strong bonding to further collaborate and then work on how best you can use technology in the further sessions. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable time and expertise. Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, shall we ask the audience to leave, ma'am?
Okay, Deepa.
Yes, ma'am. Audience, we put the feedback link in the chat box. Please use the feedback link. Okay.
நானே கொடுத்து போகுதுண்ணா முடிச்சிட்டீங்களா?
Deepa? Deepa?
கிளம்புறேன் மேம்.
தீபா யூடியூப் லைவ்ல போடல தீபா. தீபா
ஹலோ
Deepa?
ஹலோ
தீபா தீபா
15
ஐ திங்க் தீபா went off. வாணி
20 30 50
டொமினிக்
மேம் யாராச்சும் ஒருத்தவங்க ஃபீட்பேக் ஃபார்ம் கொடுக்குறீங்களா மேம்?
ஃபீட்பேக் ஃபார்ம் சாட்ல இருக்கு பாருங்க.
மேம் சாட் நான் இப்பதான் வெளிய போயிட்டு ஃபார்ம் ஃபில் பண்ணல ஞாபகம் வந்தேன். சாட் போயிடுச்சு. சாட்ல போயிடுச்சு.
மேம்
ஓகே.
தீபா
thank you so much ma'am.
okay ma'am. தீபா
மேம் தீபா இல்ல போல இருக்கு.
வாணி ஃபீட்பேக் லிங்க் யூடியூப்ல வரல வாணி.
மேம் யூடியூப்லயா மேம்? யூடியூப்ல ஓகே, அது அவங்கிட்ட தான் கேட்கணும்.
மேம் என்னாச்சு மேம்?
தீபாக்கு கால்
காசு கரெக்டா வாங்கியிருக்கேன் நான் பாரு அம்மா. காசு கரெக்டா வாங்கியிருக்கேன் நான் பாரு.
ரேவலாக்கா
Oh, thank you so I'm sorry.
Kalai and Mirna, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Mani, thank you.
Oh, ma'am, Shada ma'am, yes, ma'am, thank you so much, ma'am.
Excellent session, yeah.
Yes, ma'am, thank you, ma'am.
Pramila tube link pocha liya? There, Pramila?
மேம் சொல்லுங்க. புரியல. போட்டிருக்கேன். அவங்க கலை மேமும் கூப்பிட்றாங்க. சரி, போட்டேன் மேம். போட்டுட்டேன் மேம், போட்டுட்டேன். தேங்க்யூ மேம், தேங்க்யூ.